Morning, good morning. It is Monday morning, November the 7th. I'm first warning meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather. Hopefully get your day started off educated, updated, with a smile on your face. And of course, today we're kind of in a bit of a unique situation. This is a special edition of Coffee Talk because the big story is Subtropical Storm Nicole. And as you can see in the bottom corner, there's a cone that involves us. So top two things we're monitoring today. Yeah, tracking the very latest on Nicole, its impacts locally, and of course, timing it all out for you. And through the duration of Coffee Talk today, I will be running through the hits, runs, and errors there in the bottom left corner of your screen so that you know, even at a moment's glance, the very latest with the storm system, okay? All right, so all of that said, let's just very briefly discuss what's going on here locally this morning. It is a lovely start, a little bit of a breeze. We're looking from Cocoa over across on the 528 causeway there toward Cocoa Beach, toward Port Canaveral. It is a lovely start to the day. It's going to be a very nice forecast. So let's take a look at our 12-hour forecast for today. One or two sprinkles, lots of sunshine. It's a day that not only should we try to enjoy it because it's lovely, but also given the sheer fact that the weather is going to be a little grumpy the next couple of days, let's really try to enjoy the weather, okay? All right, 85 degrees or so, our high temperature today. But the big weather story is the very thing in the bottom left corner there, Subtropical Storm Nicole. Here's a look at it on the satellite imagery, larger screen, okay? Very latest information from the National Hurricane Center. They do have a recon mission inside investigating. Couple of things. Winds are at 45, pressure's at 1,002. It's moving to the north-northwest at 14 miles an hour. Doesn't look like much right at the center of circulation, right? Like, it doesn't take a meteorologist to determine that. That's why it is a subtropical storm as opposed to a tropical storm. It's not your coming in together concentric circulation kind of thing. It's a hybrid of sorts. It's partially tropical, partially non-tropical. It's a bigger wind field than you would find in a storm of this intensity. So we need to keep that in mind, okay? All right, let's look at the forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center, and we can run down all the details on this. It is expected to continue to gradually strengthen. Let's just kind of zoom this in and take it over the next couple of days. So today into tomorrow, notice winds by 1 p.m. on Tuesday are at 60 miles an hour. Wednesday, 1 p.m., 70 miles an hour. And then Wednesday into Thursday morning, it's making landfall somewhere across the East Coast. Now, we always say this, and I am bothered because in Ian, people didn't take this into account. That's why I don't like the term cone of uncertainty, because it's actually the cone of confidence. We are confident that the storm can make landfall. Let's just do this. The storm can make landfall anywhere that the cone is. So it could make landfall all the way down here, Biscayne Bay. It could make landfall all the way up here in the low country of the Carolinas there. So that's why we have to watch this with particular note, because obviously our entire coverage area is in that cone of confidence, okay? So, great. It's November. A tropical system, what? Is that a thing? It can be, it has, and it will be a thing. This week, like it or not, that's where we're at, okay? All right, so let's just start fresh with the computer models, see what they're showing. You know, it's not perfect agreement, but there's agreement, right? Some models do kind of try and take it off the shoreline and recurve it. Many models bring it either from the Space Coast down through the Treasure Coast and then recurve it and loop it back out to sea, all right? What about the winds? Here's kind of the idea. Look at the wind field. Just in first glance, what stands out to me and what I hope stands out to you is the fact that that wind field, as it is right now, is the size of the peninsula of Florida. Tropical storm force winds, far reaching. That's where systems like this can catch people off guard, because a subtropical system, it's not like focusing on one low. It's kind of this big gale that's developing and taking on some tropical characteristics, okay? And when we look at the computer models, you'll see that in the wind field projections, okay? So that's a very important point of note. At this point in time, there are no advisories for the Sunshine State. I do think more than likely later today we will end up with advisories, at least for Palm Beach County, the Treasure Coast. At this point, tropical storm watches are posted for parts of the northern Bahamas, including Grand Bahama Island. Tropical storm watch means that within 48 hours, tropical storm conditions are possible. So if you figure, if it's and we'll go back to the cone here, just for our own calculations, okay? If it's a Thursday morning landfall, if that's what the Hurricane Center is calling for, a Thursday morning landfall. So if you just extrapolate that, if that's Thursday at 1 a.m., we'll just say that it's going to be an 11 p.m. Wednesday. 48 hours is the litmus for tropical storm watches or hurricane watches. So 48 hours before Wednesday 11 p.m. would be Monday 11 p.m. So I wouldn't be surprised if 5 p.m., 11 p.m. tonight, even 5 a.m. tomorrow, we don't start getting tropical storm advisories posted for the Sunshine State, okay? So we've established the fact that there's something there and there's something kind of working our direction. Cool. What does it mean? If I can hit the space bar. Oh, sugar. Come on, Windows. You annoy me sometimes. What does it mean? It means that Wednesday night, Thursday, and even into Friday, there's going to be a storm system impacting us, okay? The biggest, most impactful concerns for me are going to be at our area beaches. Think of this like a winter storm that impacts Florida. It'll batter up the beaches, beach erosion, coastal flooding, just slamming waves in an area that just doesn't need it. Think about where we have been since Ian. Ian just really impacted our beaches, and I don't know yet, but I could tell you I will be texting the boss. Stand by. Stand by. Hey. Okay, just texted the boss. I said, hey, chopper today, weather lab, let's make great coverage. So I want to tell the story at the coast. I think that that's going to be where things are playing out. The concern for damage is going to be highest at the coast, as I see it right now. Inland areas, some gusty winds, some driving rain, that sort of thing, some flooding, even the potential of some isolated severe weather. That's kind of where we're at, okay? So let's run down every bit of information we've got, okay? And let's start with, are you ready? County by county forecasts. Brevard, Volusia, Flagler counties, our coastal communities. Worst of the weather is going to be in your area Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is going to be a fairly elongated kind of event, okay? My concern for you, winds running 30 to 40 with gusts running 40 to 50. Now, lots of people have been asking, so let's get right to Artemis. A lot of people have been asking, are they going to roll Artemis back to the pad? I don't think so. As I recall, the number it had to hit was 79 knot gusts. At this point, that's not what we're seeing. So hopefully we'll keep Artemis on the pad. Hopefully the wind won't knock the thing over. I don't even know. I mean, I assume that's possible. But it's going to be kind of a gusty, raw forecast for our coastal areas these next couple of days. So again, it's sunny. It's beautiful. We've got to enjoy that sunny, beautiful weather, right? 4 to 5 inches of rain with some pockets possibly seeing more. Okay? All right, let's move inland to the metro areas. Orange, Seminole, Osceola counties. For you, this includes downtown Orlando. This includes the tourist district. 25 to 35 mile per hour winds, gusting a little higher than that. Is this destructive wind? No. But could we get a pocket of heavier winds? Yeah. And so, we have to watch for that. Wednesday night through Friday, okay? Gusty winds, isolated tornado threat is there, my friends. Okay? And then out west, Sumter, Lake, Marion counties. Impacts for you more than likely would be just a little bit lower, 25 to 30 mile per hour winds with gusts up to about 40, 45 miles an hour, rain running about 2 to 4, and there's possibility of some localized flooding, all right? Just little pockets here or there. But this is going to be, more than anything, this is going to be a beach event, all right? Just look at the wave action showing up on our computer model, all right? 9 to 14. Coming ashore here. Look at that. Getting up 15 to 20. Look at this into Wednesday. Wind and wave action. So you're talking offshore, 21-foot waves. It's not going to be the next time to go out to the beach today or tomorrow or the next couple of days. That's offshore. What about breaking? Look at the surf building. 4 to 6 feet right now. This is Brevard County. 8 to 12 feet tomorrow, 14 to 20 feet on Wednesday. Okay, that's, you take into account the sheer fact that Ian did a number on our seawalls and on our dunes. This is going to just finish what Ian started. That is my greatest concern here, okay? That is truly my greatest concern. The battering at the beaches. All right? Jason's asking a great question. School cancellations for this week? It's going to end up being, and we'll look at, let's do this. It's going to end up being winds. Their concern is going to be winds over 30, 35 miles an hour to operate the buses, right? So let's just look at wind gust swath. And what this product is and we're going to look at both models. We'll start with the GFS, and this is going to be just peak winds. What's the peak wind looking like? All right. So GFS showing peak winds across central Florida, 40, 50, 60 mile per hour. Okay? That's gusts. All right? What about the European? Now, the European's probably going to be a little lower because the European has been further south and weaker. And there's the European's plot. Kind of strong tropical storm force at the coast and then just gusty inland. All of the areas, though, do look to get some pretty decent, whipping winds around. In terms of sustained winds, let's go back to the GFS because theoretically the GFS would be kind of a bit of a worse scenario. And let's just go back through time, okay? Again, what we're looking at here, just so that you know, what we're looking at, this is the raw model data. This is the stuff that we look at in the Weather Center. It's not really, you don't have enough time on the air to show this raw stuff, but that's kind of the beauty of Coffee Talk. This is a venue where I can really get into the specificity of the data and share it with you. Okay, so this is 3 p.m. this afternoon, and what we're looking at is sustained winds here, 15 to 20 miles per hour at the beaches. Okay, the timestamp's not on the screen, but I'll kind of read it to you. And just to give you your bearings, that's Lake Apopka. That's Leesburg, that's the Villages, that's Ocala, Flagler County here, Volusia County here, so that's Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach, DeLand, New Smyrna Beach, there's Brevard County there. So just for your bearings, okay? Here's Tuesday. This is Tuesday, 3 p.m. 15, 20 mile per hour breeze inland, 25 to 30 mile per hour breeze at the shoreline. You can see here in Brevard County, the gustiest of the winds. Notice the wind's kind of picking up a little bit. This is Wednesday. That's 11 a.m. Wednesday. You're talking sustained winds running 20 miles an hour inland, 20 to 25 Flagler, Volusia, 30 to 40 here in Brevard. And again, the time on this is Wednesday at 11 a.m. I'll do that so you can see the timestamp on the top. 16Z, that's 11 a.m. Wednesday. All right. So sustained winds. I think we're okay, at least for school, for most areas. Now, does Brevard's barrier islands have to start being concerned about operating school buses? Yeah, because look, let's just look at, this is 3 p.m. on Wednesday. Most of Central Florida's school districts will be fine, but Brevard, the barrier islands particularly, that sustained wind of 40, 37. So that would be a bit of a concern for operating school buses on Wednesday. Now, certainly this is model data. It's guidance, not gospel. And if anyone from the Brevard or any school district has any need for assistance, I certainly want to make sure that I make myself available to you. So if any school administrator, district administrator needs a meteorologist in their corner, please email me. Okay, here's Thursday, 5 a.m. First off, note, we're talking hurricane conditions down across Glades and Hendry counties. Driving winds, though, into our coastal areas, right? And then kind of calming down from there, okay? So that's kind of where we're at. In terms of landfall points, let's do this. Let's plot, and this is what I've been posting on my social channels as the models come in. Let's just look at, this is the GFS, all right? It's just a more raw version of what I've been posting. All right, so there's the center of circulation there, and you can see into the Bahamas, that brown shade there, right? That's the strong tropical storm force winds. There we go. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So there's that. The latest run of the GFS, interestingly enough, has the storm system coming in around Boca Raton, which is southern Palm Beach County. If we go back a run, it was kind of down there as well. Go back 2 runs. It was significantly further north, like Jupiter. 3 runs. Stronger. So what's interesting, 4 runs. Yeah. So the GFS has started to trend weaker and further south. So the GFS would be more of an indication leaning toward the European than the European leaning toward the GFS. But because it's a subtropical system, your massive winds, sure, the strongest winds are going to be near the center, but you're still talking about a significant wind field. So you're still talking about tropical storm force wind gusts all the way up through Flagler County. And then it moves out into the Gulf and then loops back around. And don't be surprised if when it comes back around, that Marion County doesn't get a good pop, right? So that's kind of where we're at, my friends. At this point, I've taken you across the journey of the data. We're looking at tropical storm force winds in our area. Because we are still in a situation of threat, we need to continue on our storm prep timeline, okay? And because of that, here's the timeline. Today, topping off our hurricane kits. What do you need at your house? Especially if you live at the beaches. Like, what do you need if you lose power for a little while? What do you need, if you're just kind of stuck, if the weather's rough? Do you need to pick up some extra non-perishables? That sort of thing, okay? Tomorrow into Wednesday morning, finish that prep. What does that even mean, right? That means, do you need to, around your house, bring loose articles in, lawn furniture, that sort of thing? These are the kind of considerations that we need to be thinking about. As long as we're in a threat, we need to continue down. It's super easy to just push this aside and say, oh, cool, not a problem. It's not as easy to be like, oh, crap, we're behind. We need to get caught up. What are we doing? Right? So because of that, we need to continue down this path. All right. And then Wednesday night into Thursday morning, that's when the storm system will be impacting us. Okay. So that's the spiel. There's plenty of other graphics to share, but let's just take questions and answers. I think that's going to be the biggest benefit to everybody here. And you may lead me down a rabbit hole that we can chat. Okay, so questions and answers. TD and KD on Facebook. I'm in Volusia County and my house was destroyed in Ian. I'm so sorry to hear that. Will the rain be as intense as that storm? Do not want to flood again. So great question. The good news is right now it does not look that way. When we talk about rainfall amounts, this is kind of the overarching idea. 4, 5, even 6 inches of rain along our I-95 communities, across the interior, 3 to 4 inches of rain or so, and out west, 1, 2, 3 inches of rain, okay? So we are not anticipating 2 feet of rain like we saw with Ian. A huge difference, okay? Huge difference. Since they're leaning toward Treasure Space Coast landfall, since storms like to stay over water, could it want to come through the Sebastian Inlet to stay over water as long as possible? Kathy Joe's asking. Good question. That's possible. These storms, they love playing that little ballet of sorts. I would say at this point, though, we know the gist of it, right? We now are going to have to eventually get into some fine-tuning, and that's, as they say, right, the devil's in the details. And over the course of today, tomorrow, even into Wednesday morning, we're going to iron it out. The cone will continue to get smaller as we get closer and closer. But, I would say, especially if you live in our coastal communities, just be ready for, some pretty crummy weather moving in. All right? Let's see here. What about the Miami area? So for right now, because of, you always look for, think of it, forward momentum. You always think of the right front quadrant as the worst side of the storm system. So in this case, when we look at it, if it's sitting right there, the right front quadrant would be driving in to Brevard County to the Treasure Coast. Whereas down here, it would be an offshore wind. So Miami-Dade, Broward, and the Keys for right now, based on if it just goes right down the center line, that's going to be the least impactful area. But that said, hold on a second. Let's see. Give me a second. I want to throw something together, of course. Give me a second. This is what I'm looking for. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this product together. We did this a lot during other storms. No, it's not that one. What am I doing here? Come on, Burris. Bear with me a second. This is where we're making the sausage. It's with storms like this, it's always difficult because it's a matter of trying to give me a minute. I got to find this. So many graphics, and of course I'm on live and I don't want to bore you guys. But there's some things I want to show. No, not you. This is it. Yep, okay. This is exactly what I want. All right, give me a few seconds to dial this in. I'm changing it from Ian. That. And perfect. Position over. Stand by. Nicole. All right. Save as. Stand by. I'm almost ready. My apologies, people. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, so there's that. There's one more I want to do, and then I'm done. Promise. This is it. Nope, that's not it. Okay, well, we'll just go with this for now. All right, so what I wanted to show is the potential winds from the storm system, okay? And let's just roll through. And I want you to notice that even though the Hurricane Center's forecast is what it is, notice that getting into tropical storm force winds, look at how far north those winds go, right? That's like the biggest thing that I'm trying to illustrate is these tropical storm force winds reach out, extend a pretty good ways away from the center of circulation. So, we're going to get there to a point where, oh, you know what I can do? I think it's this. No. Come on, Burris. 2 seconds. There's a particular thing I'm wanting to do. It's going to drive me nuts if I can't do it. That's what I'm trying for. Yes. There's what I'm looking for. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay. Few seconds. Almost there. Tropical track. Cone. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay. All right, so this is what I'm looking for. This is just, it's a super rough graphic, but this is what I'm trying to show you. So based on the cone, notice what I'm highlighting is kind of the cumulative winds of tropical storm force or so. And notice that they're leaning much further to the right side of the cone than to the left side of the cone. Even if the storm goes right down the center, there's more wind on the north side of the cone than on the south side of the cone. Sorry, it takes that long to like throw garbage graphics together, and that's just where we're at. But I really wanted to illustrate that because I think for us that's a significant player. And we need to remember we're going to be on the rougher side of this storm system. My apologies for that taking so long. I know Indian River is out of your viewing area, but how is that doing? If I was in Indian River County, I would certainly be working this storm prep timeline because Indian River is a coastal county, and all in all, you're going to get a tropical storm, maybe even a hurricane. Some of the models are doing that, right? Are we needing to board up in Kissimmee? Charlene, I wouldn't. Listen, anytime you ask the question, if you're worried, there's not a problem to over prepare. But I would say I don't think that this is the kind of storm that we need to be boarding up inland. If you live at the coastline, yeah, that plays out differently. Coastal areas may not be the worst idea, especially further south you live. Why is it considered subtropical? That's a great question. So it's not fully feeding off of the warm waters of the Atlantic basin. It's kind of this hybrid type scenario. Okay? So because of that, it's not your standard storm. The wind field is larger. The impacts are going to be much more wide felt, that sort of thing. Good question, though. Is it too early to talk about storm surge? Yeah, I think at this point, there's a bigger concern of battering wave action, that sort of thing. That's my big concern. But for storm surge, this is going to be a big coastal concern. At the very least, like I'll go back to this. At the very least, look at the wave action we're talking on Wednesday. 14 to 20 feet. That's surf. That's not offshore waves. So, yeah. All right. Why do the forecasts show an almost reverse track once it gets to the west side of Florida? As it's moving ashore, it kind of hits into a frontal boundary that recurves it and drives it back away. So it's going to be one of those fun things. Always fun. The tropics are always fun. Coley's asking sunshine on Friday. So here's a look at the 7-day forecast. And it's going to be improving late Friday. But I would say Saturday and Sunday is when we're really going to get better. So here's the 7-day forecast. For Election Day tomorrow, go vote. I don't care who you're voting for. That's between you and yourself. But go vote. Make yourself heard. Couple of showers, couple of thunder showers. Then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's when the tropical trouble will be here. That's when Nicole will be making its way around. Okay? All right. Every once in a while, you should show people just how fast the comments go by for you. Then they will understand why you don't reply to their questions. I do apologize, but if you figure, we've got over 1,000 people watching our stream live right now. And everybody's putting a comment in, and I'm doing my best to read questions, but I'm not going to get to all of them. I will just do the very best that I can. All right, Mark, let's talk about your in-house model and its intensity projection. Yeah, I've been tweeting it, and I want to make sure that I always preface it by saying it's one model, yada, yada. So let's look at computer models as they are right now. So the European model doesn't go out very far, but here's the 6Z European model. All right, look how the center of circulation is down here. Most of the more intense wind, though, is on the north side. Okay, so that's battering our beaches. So this is going to be a fairly impactful scenario, and that's bringing it ashore into Palm Beach County. And again, the impactful winds are from like Indian River County, Brevard, Volusia, and Flagler counties. So that's the European model. And it's bringing 45, 50 mile per hour winds. All right, let's come over to the 6Z GFS. Same idea, right? Landfall somewhere around like Boca Raton. Big wind, 60, 65 mile per hour winds into Palm Beach County, but up and down our shoreline, we're still talking 45, 50, 55 mile per hour winds. The thing that I don't love is the fact that our in-house Futurecast model, it's the highest resolution of the lot. It doesn't go out as far as the others, but let me go to the time frame when it stops. So it cuts off Thursday at like 2 a.m. So this is as far out as Futurecast goes. Futurecast has been running stronger and perhaps a little further to the north. Futurecast is an outlier for right now, but Futurecast is saying a hurricane. Futurecast is still saying a hurricane. GFS has started to agree more with the European, but that's our Futurecast model. That's as far out as it goes. We'll have to see how that plays out. Airport closures. If we've got a tropical storm or hurricane, they're probably going to shut some things down. Mickey's asking about ensembles. The models are all agreeing. Ensembles are just going to show different parts of the coastline. Does it matter at this point? Honestly, they're going to show just different spots. Like there's the ensembles. This is the GFS really showing south, but some ensembles are a little further north. We switch over to the European. The European ensembles are pretty much the Palm Beaches. That's kind of where we're at for ensembles. Yeah, it's 6 and 1/2 dozen of the other, honestly. Are we thinking our local schools will eventually need to close for this? As the forecast comes more and more into focus, we'll certainly have to evaluate that. My hope is that our Futurecast model stops being an outlier and starts to come into focus with the rest of the models. But either way, no matter what the direction it goes, there's going to be those local impacts. John says, wish we had reporters that knew how to do their job instead of this left-wing report the fact and truth. God will hold you accountable for what you do. Okay. Not really. Okay. Thank you for making that statement. I appreciate that. Janet's asking, oh my God, are we having another hurricane? It's possible. Most models are trying to say tropical storm in our area, but yeah, there's something that will be around. Justin, the Artemis will have to be taken back into the VAB again. Not necessarily. I don't think that that'll be the case. I think winds for right now do not look to be high enough for that. Which means, like, if you think about it, like, we'll do this coverage, and then Sunday night we'll reconvene and we'll fire that puppy up. Wouldn't that be fun? Ay. What about Tampa? So for right now, I mean, some gusty rains, you know. Its exact path and track will need to be monitored. Mickey, do subtropical systems pose more of a tornado threat than standard tropical systems? If anything, I would think that it would be a little lower tornado threat. If I'm honest, I would say it's a little bit of a lower tornado threat. So it's top heavy. Everyone is going to feel something from the storm. Yeah, it's just going to be gusty. Yeah. LOL, John the Troll. I had to read it because I was like I read it without saying it. I was like, I just have to read this out loud. I just need to hear what it sounds like. Yeah, trolls are going to troll. Bots are going to bot, right? Kristen, may I ask what the odds of it strengthening more are? I mean, it's going to. We expect the official forecast calls for it to strengthen. But you mean strengthen more than the models? You know, this is not a game of odds. There's wind shear. There's a lot of meteorological elements to it. This is not one of those let's play the odds games situations, you know. It's there. We're going to track it. Could it get, you know, it's almost at hurricane strength according to the official forecast and a very subtle adjustment. You know, like you get one extra cloud that pops up, boom, it's a hurricane. You know what I mean? So we're not playing the odds game. It's just doesn't even benefit us at all. Cece's asking, could this turn tropical instead of subtropical? Yeah, it could go full tropical, but I think that it will always have this expanded wind field, which is, you know, a bit of a concern there. You know, driving from Sanford to the Keys for a wedding on Friday. We'll plan in extra driving hours. I mean, if I'm honest with you, Cheryl, I'd either go well early or try and go as late as you can. You know, I mean, by Friday, it's going to be like somewhere here. It's not the greatest driving condition, we'll say. Tasha says, National Hurricane Center discussion is key. They use great wording on possibilities. Highly recommended. Yes. The National Hurricane Center issues a forecast discussion. It's a highly technical thing. Let me just read it to you, okay? And this is going to get boring real quick for you. All right. Subtropical Storm Nicole. The area of disturbed weather that the NHC has been monitoring over the southwestern Atlantic has been gradually becoming better organized. Scatometer data and buoy observations from last evening indicate the system has developed a sufficiently well-defined center of circulation with gale force winds as high as 40 knots occurring in a band that lies between 180 to 240 nautical miles to the east of the center. So they upgraded this based on a burst of convection 180 to 240 nautical miles east of the center. As in 200 miles east of the center. Moderate to deep convection has also increased a bit, with TAFB providing a subtropical A-Bear classification of 1.5. Given this data, the system is now being classified as a subtropical storm. Since Nicole's center has only recently formed, the initial motion is a little uncertain, but the best estimate is north-northwest at 330 degrees at 12 knots. Model guidance shows that the system should turn northwestward and slow down later today, followed by a turn toward the west-southwest tonight. I'm going to just skim over some of this other stuff because this stuff isn't the stuff that you'll want. In about 3 days, blah, 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 blah. The track guidance is in fairly good agreement in the scenario, and the official Hurricane Center track is fairly close to the TVCN and HCCA consensus data. Okay? Now, the first couple paragraphs are always kind of the synoptic elements. Let me read to you the important stuff. We're talking nerdy. This will go down in my baby book. It was November 7th of the year 2022 that I read a Hurricane Center forecast discussion on the air. Rise and shine, people. Some gradual strengthening is anticipated over the next few days, although Nicole's sprawling nature does not favor fast intensification. Pause. It's big. It takes a lot more effort to make a big system bigger, right? Continue. For the first couple of days, the forecast, National Hurricane Center intensity prediction, closely follows the GFS global model solution. Although Nicole is likely to maintain a large wind field, models suggest it could make a transition to tropical cyclone, thus developing a smaller inner core wind field in about 2 to 3 days, and at that point, more significant intensification is possible. Pause. So, what does that mean? Right now, it's a big subtropical system. Lots of wind everywhere. Remember, its tropical storm force wind field is basically the size of the peninsula. But if it were to try and transition to fully tropical, you would develop this center of circulation that's intensifying. Then it would kind of keep this peripheral stuff, weaken it, but really focus on that core. And that's the big question. Does that core start to find the opportunity to strengthen or not? Continue. For now, National Hurricane Center intensity forecast brings Nicole close to hurricane strength in 60 to 72 hours while it moves near the northwestern Bahamas and approaches the east coast of Florida, which is in line with the HCCA consensus aid. It's not out of the question for Nicole to reach hurricane strength, especially given how warm the waters are in the vicinity of the Bahamas. It should be stressed, however, that no matter Nicole's ultimate intensity, the storm's large size will likely cause significant wind, storm surge, rainfall impacts over a large portion of the northwestern Bahamas, Florida, and the southeastern coast of the United States during much of the upcoming week. Okay, nerd data. I can't believe we just did that. Nerd data. No matter if it goes full tropical or stays subtropical, this is a big old thing. And it's going to throw a lot of wave action, a lot of wind energy in. That's not where we love to be. We're going to be on the rougher side of this, okay? Debbie, let's get more nerdy, baby. That's right. All right? So, everybody understanding that? Tasha says, very important part of the discussion. Thank you for reading this part and emphasizing it. I feel like the claps are, attempting to heavily focus. Hi, Gewalt. Manolfi, you in? I see everybody saying good morning to Manolfi. We ought to get Tony. Hold on, let me call him. If I see Tony, let me call him. We got to get the chief to join.
What's up, Buttercup?
Boobala, you're on live.
Oh, yeah. Still, I got up early. She's not adjusted to time change yet, so I'm up.
Hey. Well, first off, good morning.
So, interesting takeaway. I love the headline from NHC on their top line there with, look, it doesn't make a difference what this is coming in. It's a long duration.
Yeah.
Coastal beach erosion, and that's what you're pounding home, both physically with your hands and in your message. I love hearing that, seeing that.
Yes. The thing that I'm most concerned about, Tony, is the fact that, like radio stations were playing Christmas commercials this morning, and I just wonder, do people really think, are people okay realizing the fact that we could be talking about and will be talking about a significant storm system the next couple of days?
I think that's a valid point. What I'm more concerned with is the fact that we're in November, and I think a lot of people let their guards down in November because, historically speaking, it's our wind down month. But every once in a while, we get these rare storms that come in, and people tend to think it's going to be incredibly weak. It's funny. I was just getting my hair cut yesterday, and no one even knew what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed it just in our viewership on Facebook Live, and I don't know if you found it yesterday, it's not what I would hope it would be given a storm is right outside of our doorstep here.
I 100% agree with that. The fact that the GFS, isn't as strong as the last couple of runs, I don't even look at that. The point is, you have a super strong gradient between high pressure to the north and a developing storm system, whether it be subtropical, tropical, and I think it will be tropical at some point prior to landfall. Just because of the warm waters. Just a matter of, for me, the dry air that's wrapping in on the south side. I don't think there's going to be a lot of wind shear initially. I think as it gets into the Gulf, it'll probably increase, but. The takeaway is, look, we saw what Ian did to the coast. The pictures don't lie.
Right.
And then you throw this right on top of that a couple of weeks later. It's a recipe for disaster.
It really is. So I think I was chatting with Ebony, hashtag shop talk, people. I think I'm doing team coverage with Cam today at noon, and then I may be in the chopper for the evening shows over at the beaches.
I love that idea. I think that if we can show, the coastline in any way, shape, or form. I know sometimes it's hard to zoom in from the chopper, but sometimes they can get pretty low and get the.
Listen, baby, we're gonna be scud running here, okay?
Yeah, well, look, I really feel for folks along the coast today because it's just this does not look good. Now, did you notice the rainfall amounts, by the way?
They went down.
Yes, and I think that's because of the drier air.
Yep, I agree.
One thing I will say, though, is if it's a weaker storm and it moves slower, it could be underestimating those rainfall amounts. So that would be the one caveat.
So what I'm showing on the screen, that's the European and the GFS, both showing like tops of 2 to 3 inches of rain. But I want to illustrate that this is a forecast. This is the kind of overarching forecast, higher. So I think that the Weather Service will agree with you, Tony, that those numbers are a little underdoing it, we think.
Well, how many times in our history here, you and I working together, the short-range models grossly underdo the rainfall amount. So you look at them, I think what we like to do, you and I have talked about this ad nauseum, is look at the trends. If it's going down, that's good. Doesn't necessarily mean the value's right.
Exactly. I look at the trend, not at the overall data. And I feel like we try to explain that so much, but people are locking in as much as they can on information. So I get that. Hey, so we've got zone forecasts already done. We're not at county by county level yet, but we've got zones. So I'm feeling good about our progression. Shop talk. I think we're doing pretty okay here.
Yeah, it's I was listening to Chelsea's thread with Kellyanne, and well, I'll tell you what, having that next Met would be huge in there in the morning, just because it's just so much work. For one person, and I'm sure you've helped her out immensely this morning from the time you got out, telling, hey, look, I just updated this for Coffee Talk. It's there if you want it. Because that's the kind of guy you are. So
doing what we can. So all right, well, go do your thing, Bubba. I'm going to go put a suit on here in a couple of minutes because I have to wear a suit for the noon show now. So
I'll see you in a little bit. Facebook Live, folks. We'll see you throughout the course of the day, Eric and I. Giddy
up. Hey, Tony, remember to bring your laptop too, okay?
Oh, yeah. Oh, real quick too, we got the 11 o'clock corporate call too, so we'll do what we've been doing in the past.
Sounds good.
I'll toss to you. All right, brother. Have fun.
Bye, buddy. All right, people. So that's where we're at. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up because I'm going to have to run. Just make sure today, let's pick up some extra stuff. Let's go to the grocery. Let's not buy all the bread and water and milk, but let's get some stuff just to be on the safe side. But I think that this overall is going to be a big coastal event, and that is my primary concern. Okay. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. All right. I will have expanded coverage online. Tony will have expanded coverage online. We are going to all be working hard, not just to keep you up to date, but we want to continue to always earn your trust. Okay? It's one thing to get it. It's another to keep it. We're going to continue to do our best to keep you up to date, to answer any questions that you may ever have. But I will just remind, especially if you're new to Central Florida, we're going to have many threats. It's okay. If you go up north, you get blizzards. If you go out west, you get tornadoes. It's just what it is. There's a price to pay to live in paradise, and we pay it. All right? All right. It's going to be a rough week. We'll be good. All right. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk. I will see you guys and gals on West 2 News at noon with meteorologist Cam Tran. And 3:30, unless I'm in the chopper. I have to figure out, we'll have to figure out what I can do for social media if I'm in the chopper. We'll figure that out, though. All right? Bye, guys. Thank you so much.